You just got wrecked.
Oh! Somebody! Oh! He needs some milk!
What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of CryptoZombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having an awesome day today. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies having a little bit of a mixed market today. We had Bitcoin fall below $9,000 overnight. We got down to about $8,984. We did get bought back up, but I can tell you right now there is lots of shifting sentiment in the space. A lot of comments now. People are saying Bitcoin has to go lower. We're going to go back down to the low 7,000. So, generally when everybody feels a certain way, usually the markets tend to go the other way. However, could everybody be right this time? Well, one thing I do want to talk about is that we do have Bitcoin volatility extremely low, which means we are looking for a big move on the Bollinger Band specifically. I am going to show you that. On the positive side, we do have the Bitcoin hash ribbons about to flash the historic buy signal. Now, keep in mind, in the past, the first time that we had this signal, we had Bitcoin pump 45x, then the second time it pumped 27x. Now, if we do look at the diminishing returns, this time we would be looking at about a 16x pump for Bitcoin, which would put it roughly around $160,000. I know. Sounds a little bit too good to be true, doesn't it? Well, we're going to talk about that today. I also want to go into the fact that we have some big news from Australia and New York State. That's right, guys. Finally, New York looks like it might be actually pulling back a little bit on its really strict Bitcoin laws. And I do want to also talk about the fact that we may potentially have some adoption for Bitcoin in Venezuela. Somebody actually showed that it looks like you could basically buy passports with Bitcoin fact or FUD. We're going to get into all that today. If that sounds good to you, you know what to do. If you are not subscribed, definitely consider it. I do have a feeling we're going to be seeing some crazy price action relatively soon. Why? Well, stick around and we'll get into it. So without further ado, let's dive directly into the charts. So, having a look right here, we do notice that Bitcoin is finding itself back at the bottom of the range on Bitcoin CME futures. Now, the reason that I've been paying attention to this chart is honestly, I feel like the futures chart is where the price action has really been the easiest to follow. And you can see right here, we have still put in a nice ascending trend. Every time Bitcoin comes down, we do put in a higher low, higher low, higher low. So as long as Bitcoin can kind of maintain in this region, then the bulls do still have control. However, if we do fall below this, well, then we are actually looking for a potential shift in the markets. Now, having a look right here, you notice that Alexium is saying extreme volatility compression is still active on Bitcoin, which means that the recent pump has been treated with extreme suspicion. The price can explode to the downside at any moment. So be careful if Bitcoin doesn't get above that $9,800 level we were talking about. Now, having a look right here, you do see that we have some major resistance / support, depending on which side we're on, at around the $7,800 level. You can see, basically down here, lots of resistance. We get above it. It does become support for a little bit, but yeah, we would hope to get held above that. But what I really want to point out right here is the fact that Bitcoin is basically at its lowest volatility we've seen at a while on the Bollinger Bands. Now, we are sitting below the basis, which is at around 9,500. Technically, this is bearish, and we have pushed down on the lower end. So as we could tell from previous times, the smaller these bands get, the bigger the explosive move. You can see right here, massive move to the downside. Down here, massive move to the upside, okay? But a lot of people are saying we are still technically in an ascending triangle, so could just be an excellent buying opportunity. If you are waiting for another buying opportunity, then you would probably look to do that at around sort of anything above the $10,000 level. Shout out to Market Minds for this. But having a look, one thing I want to point out, we were supported as the previous resistance turned support. However, we have fallen out of our purple zone right here. We really want to get back above that $9,300 level. If we don't do that, kind of by the end of the weekend, then you could be looking for Bitcoin prices to go a lot lower. And yes, we did have our golden cross. We did have our golden cross fake out. We were expecting this. Anyone on the channel, if you took that trade, you shorted, congratulations. Once again, we were smarter than the golden cross. However, long term, I still am looking for a pump to the upside. Now, Satoshi Flipper says there's an excellent chance we dip into the 8Ks, even the 7Ks on our way to test 14,000. That path doesn't make me any less bullish than if we went up straight from here. I still think we'll test 14,000 before the end of the year. It really all depends on the stocks, which actually today are up a little bit, but it is unfortunate how much correlation we have had with the stocks. But I want to point out, shout out to CryptoLark for pointing this out, but he does say the Bitcoin hash ribbons are about to flash a buy signal. After the first halving, we saw a 4,500% price rise. After the second, we saw a 2,700% price rise, and now maybe a 1,600%, which would bring Bitcoin to about the $160,000 mark. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often does rhyme. So let me know, will history rhyme this time, or are we destined and doomed for a low, massive capitulation dump to all oblivion since everybody's bearish all of a sudden? I don't know. I guess people are just starting to get bored out there. But look, Bitcoin still sitting above the major trend on the logarithmic chart. Okay, yes, we could have a major breakdown to the low side, straight down, could bring Bitcoin all the way down to 5,300. But as long as we stay above the $9,000 level, and you can see right here, we actually tried to dip down below it. We pulled back above it. So like I said, guys, staying above, $9,000. We're still in the clear. So let me know, what are you guys doing right now? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you sitting on the side with cash? Are you dipping your toes in the altcoins? Are you shorting? Are you longing? What are you doing in the Bitcoin and crypto space? Drop your comments below. Let me know if you guys are using leverage. Be very careful out there. If you are, though, my recommended exchange, as you know, is Bybit. I do have a tutorial popping up above. However, moving on. So Laura Shin actually was asked, we were talking yesterday basically about DeFi and whether or not it's, just the next ICO bubble or if it's legit. Well, Laura Shin actually asked Chamath Palihapitiya about his thoughts on DeFi, and this is what he had to say about it.
And I was also curious, have you been watching what's been going on in DeFi?
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, okay. Well then.
But I own Bitcoin.
So he doesn't really know what it is. Now, some people do have some opinions on it, but what I want to tell, actually, somebody does have an opinion on it. I'll tell you right here. Mike McDonald, he says, the only reason DeFi makes me bullish is that the euphoria surrounding the snake oil gives me utterly worthless, heavy dog shit bags a glimmer of hope to one day be able to dump them on that same guy who has DeFi maximalist in his bio once he pivots. Not my words, his words. Let me know what you think about it below. I was thinking about getting someone on the channel maybe to talk a little bit more about DeFi, reaching out to CryptoLark or Lark Davis, potentially Nuggets News, Alex Saunders. He's been really big into DeFi. Let me know if you guys want me to do like an interview or something. I know I don't do a lot of interviews on the channel. If you want an interview, maybe I could see if I can get Alex on from Nuggets News, talk a little bit of DeFi. Totally up to you guys. If you're interested, we'll do it. If you're not interested, then we'll skip it. But so before we move on with the video and get to the really cool topics, I just want to play this clip from Alex Gladstein, and it's only 2 minutes long, and it's why Bitcoin matters for human rights in 2 minutes. You've seen a lot of these protests going on recently, and I think sometimes we just need to realize the real reason for Bitcoin. We do get very caught up in the price action, buying and selling and shorting and longing. But I think sometimes it's nice to remind ourselves the significance of Bitcoin, censorship resistant currency, non-confiscatable, fully verifiable by mathematics. Remember, don't trust, verify. So I just want to play this clip super quick, just to give us a little bit of a reminder of why we're all here. Then we're going to get to the really juicy news. So don't go anywhere. Stick around.
Why Bitcoin matters for human rights in 2 minutes. Today, cash is disappearing. Whether it's in the United Kingdom or the United States or Sweden or South Korea, a smaller and smaller amount of our daily transactions are done with cash. We have to think about the implications of a cashless society where all money is digitally centralized. We have to think about what happens when we lose the financial privacy afforded to us by paper money. We have to think about the new powers that states and corporations gain as we trade our privacy and freedom for comfort and convenience, because what you buy and sell says more about you than your words. Consider, when you make a transaction with a paper bill, the merchant doesn't know your name, your email address, your phone number, or really anything about you. By contrast, when you make a transaction with a phone or a wearable or a swipe or one day a chip, you reveal an enormous amount of information about yourself, which leads to control by corporations and governments, and censorship and surveillance, and gradually social engineering. This is why Bitcoin is so revolutionary, because it lays the groundwork for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, where unlike today's legacy arrangement, where there's banks and software companies and payment processors in the middle of every single digital transaction that happens, instead, nobody's in the middle of you and the person you are paying. Their payment processing is done instead by a global competition. And this is why, in a world and in a future where we will have state money, we will have corporate money, Bitcoin is more like the people's money. It is a way out. It is an alternative. Now, less than 1% of us have used Bitcoin, perhaps 50 or 60 million out of the 7.5 billion on this earth. But if we keep growing this, and if Bitcoin thrives, humans will have a money that can't be censored by authorities, that can't be devalued by governments, that can't be monopolized by corporations, that can't be easily mass surveilled, that can't be stopped by borders, and that can be accessed by anyone. And that's why Bitcoin matters for human rights.
All right, so now for the big juicy news of the day. In an official press release on Wednesday, the New York Department of Financial Services has stated that it is considering a conditional BIT license for cryptocurrency firms. According to the regulator, the conditional licensing is to encourage crypto businesses willing to operate in the state. Now, some of you may not care about this at all. Trust me, guys, I care about this because New York State is one of the toughest states when it comes to crypto. In fact, I was going to get a crypto.com card, except they only offer it, well, they offer it in 49 out of 50 states. Can you guess which state they don't offer it in? Exactly. So trust me, guys, New York pulling back a little bit is actually extremely bullish. You can see that they're saying that this new initiative will aim to simplify operating within the state's BIT license. Unveiled in 2015, it's mandatory for every cryptocurrency company working in New York to receive this. Now, here's the thing. In the past 5 years, only 25 firms have managed to receive the license. So that really is kind of putting a bit of a chokehold on the adoption, right? So basically, you could see, should the newly proposed framework be accepted, it will allow businesses aspiring to engage in digital currency endeavors in New York to obtain the BIT license and, or a conditional license, I should say. And by using it, those firms would be able to collaborate with fully licensed companies. Also, on top of that, another proposal is basically involving the offering of and usage of these new coins that are basically approved. So yeah, guys, I mean, this is really big news from New York. Like I said, you may not understand the significance of this, but New York has a lot of influence over stuff like this. And man, if they can pull back a little bit on their BIT license, allow these conditional licenses to really encourage growth, I think that would be massive. But something really big right now that you could do basically is you can, if you're in Australia, you can actually pay for Bitcoin at any national post offices. Well, at least at 3,500 of them. So basically, if you are a customer of the local cryptocurrency exchange Bitcoin.com AU, you can pay for Bitcoin at, like I said, 3,500 Australian post offices. So the CEO said for many people, paying for Bitcoin at an Australian post office feels a lot safer than transferring funds online, particularly for first buyers. He says, we're proud of this partnership and would like to thank Australia Post for their continued openness to new technologies. So he believes that the new payment option will make it a lot easier and essentially more comfortable. You know, if you're going to your local post office and they're offering you to buy Bitcoin, they say that, well, some people will feel a lot safer about that moving forward. And finally, guys, it looks like Venezuela has introduced an option to pay for Bitcoin, an option to pay for passports using Bitcoin. The option, however, was only available for some applicants outside the country for a brief time, suggesting that it was a run test. But you can see right here, here's actually a screenshot of you being able to pay for your passport using Bitcoin. And they do say that several users in various countries confirmed via social media that the Bitcoin payment option did appear on the same website this morning. Since then, however, the payment option has been blocked. This combination with Linnair's statements on Twitter suggests that Venezuela's government may have simply been running a test. But yeah, I mean, if you go right here, we zoom in, you can see this definitely was an option. Somebody definitely took a picture of that. So sounds pretty good to me, guys. Lots of Bitcoin adoption, buying Bitcoin at post offices over in Australia. We have BIT licenses pulling back a little bit. We also have What else do we have? Oh, we have the option to potentially buy Bitcoin at 20,000 locations, right? Including Rite Aids and 7-Elevens. Just lots of really big news, potentially getting Bitcoin wallets put on PayPal and Venmo. So even though the price action is really boring right now, I know a lot of people are like, when Moon, when Lambo, but guys, there's a lot of things happening in the background. There is a lot of infrastructure being built, and I think that is the most important thing to keep our eyes on. And with that being said, I want to say thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I do this every single day. Hope you're enjoying your week. Hope you're not bored out of your mind with this crypto move, or lack thereof move. But I will say this, having a look at these Bollinger Bands, it does look like we are basically setting up for a really big move. I mean, even look right here, down here where it was starting to compress and we had that big move to the upside. So keep your eyes on it. Let me know what you guys are doing below. Drop a comment, say hello, join the free Telegram. You know the drill. I don't need to keep talking about all this. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. My name's K-Dub. This is CryptoZombie. Until next time, stay crypto, be safe out there, and of course, peace out.